Hi, I'm Srinivas Reddy Palam, lecturer in computer engineering, Kuli Kutuksha Government Polytechnic, Hyderabad. I'm going to handle the course Programming in C, 18 CM205, the subject code. It is in Diploma in Computer Engineering, first year, second semester. In today's session, I am going to discuss how to do programming in C language. Uh, that is to implement arrays. How can we implement arrays concept in C language? We will discuss. First of all, let's see what is an array. Array is a collection of data that holds fixed number of values of same type. The size and type of arrays cannot be changed after its declaration. And also we can say that the array values are going to be stored in a contiguous locations of your memory. So they should not be stored at different places. If at all, if they belong to same array or single array, all the values that are stored in that array, that is the elements in that array, should be stored contiguously. They should be stored at continuous locations of that particular place of that memory belonging to the particular array. For example, if you want to store marks of 100 students, you can create an array for it. And if you take the marks, they will have fractional parts also. So they can be declared as floating point type values. So the array data type should be float. And the name of the array, if suppose since it is the marks of the array, appropriate name for this array can be marks. And how many values that you want to store is 100 students marks, so it will show its size is 100. Some other examples where the concept of array can be used. It is used in the case of list of temperatures recorded every hour in a day or a month or a year. So suppose if you want to declare all the temperatures in every hour of a day, or all the temperatures during a day of a month, or all the temperatures during the months of a year, in that case you should declare a array corresponding to these temperatures. In that case, we have to have the array concept. List of employees in an organization can also take the concept of arrays. List of products and their cost sold by a store. In that case, also they will have the arrays used. Test scores of a class of student. It is also similar to the marks of the student. List of customers and their telephone numbers. In this case, also we have two arrays. One for the customers and the other corresponding to the telephone numbers of the respective customers. And a table of daily rainfall data. So all these are the examples in the cases where we use the concept of arrays. Let's see how to declare an array in a C. So how do we declare arrays in a C? The syntax for declaring the arrays. So every concept in C will have syntax and the implementation of the syntax according to the programming needs. So we need to have some syntax. So the syntax for declaring the array is data type followed by space followed by the array name followed by a square brackets. Inside these square brackets we need to mention the size of the array. So this is the example that how we declare the array in a C. For example, float marks of 5. Here we declared an array mark of floating point type and size is 5. That is it holds 5 floating point values. So it is an array where it holds 5 floating point values corresponding to the marks of some students. Let's see how what are the elements of an array and how to access them. We can access elements of an array by indices. So first of all, let's see what are elements means. All the array contents will be declared and they are stored in some particular places. So suppose if you take in the previous slide, we have float marks of 5. So in that case 5 marks are stored corresponding to some student or students. So in that case, individual marks of that particular array are called nothing but the elements of that particular array. In the suppose you declare an array marks as above. The first element is mark of 0, second element is mark of 1, and so on. So in our case, we have since 5 elements. We can have mark of 0, that is the first element, and second element mark of 1, third element mark of 2, fourth element mark of 3, and the fifth element mark of 4. Like this, we will have 5 elements corresponding to the marks array. Let's see few Q points related to these arrays. Arrays have a 0 as the first index set, but not 1. So all the array elements, they will start with the first index, and the index it always starts with 0 but not 1. In this example, markup 0. If the size of an array is n, to access the last element, n minus 1 index is used. Suppose in our case we have markup 5. So here the size is 5. Since n is 5, to access the last element, that is fourth element, fifth element, we need to use the index n minus 1, that is 5 minus 1. The index is 4. In this example, the index is 4, and the element is markup 4. Suppose the starting address of markup 0 is 2120d decimal. Then the next address markup 1 will be 2124d, address of markup 2 will be 2128d, and so on. It is because the size of float is 4 bytes. Since it is a floating point array and the elements will be float only, and every float value will occupy 4 bytes. So suppose if the starting address is 2120d, then to get the next address, that is markup 1, we need to add 4 to the starting address, so that starting address of the second element will be obtained, that is 2124d. To get the address of mark 2, in mark 2 always already we have two elements, so that is 4 plus 4 bytes are occupied. And now to get the address of starting address of the mark 2 element, mark of 2 element, that is third element, we need to add 8 to starting address, that is 2120d plus 8, that will give 2128d, that is the mark of 2 address, and so on. It is because, as I already told, the size of individual element in a floating point array is 4 bytes, that is the float elements size. Let's see how to initialize an array. It is possible to initialize an array during declaration. So there are two methods that we can use for declaring the size of the arrays. One method is during the declaration itself. For example, int markup 5 equal to 94635. So here it is a integer array, and it is a marks array, and it is having five values in it. So we need to give five values at the time of declaration, and also the initialization is done. Another method of initializing array during declaration, that is during the array declaration itself, we can give the values, but without giving the size of the array. Here, int markup empty square brackets equal to 94635. It is also a marks array, and it is an integer array and having the five elements, but it is not declared. How can this be known by the compiler? By calculating the number of values that are being initialized to this particular array, we can get the count of that particular element, those particular elements. So by counting those elements, we can get the size of the array. And here we have five elements. So markup 0 is first element, that is 9. Markup 1 is equal to 4, and markup 2 is the third element, but inside array it is stored at the subscript 2. Since arrays always starts with initial subscript 0, markup 3 is equal to 3, and markup 4 is equal to 5. This is the last element in the marks array. um, Important thing to remember when working with C arrays. Suppose you declare an array of 10 elements, let's say int test array of 10. You can use the array members from test array 0 to test array 9. So if you try to access array elements outside of its bound, let's say test array of 12, the compiler may not show any error. However, this may cause unexpected output, undefined behavior. So what it means is, although You can have the array element size declared, and you can easily access the elements in between the size, the starting range to end of the array size. And you can also access outside of this array range, that is in between 0 to 9 you can always access, and outside of these 0 to 9 range also, that is before 0 you can access, and after 9 also you can access. And but you will get elements that are incorrect, which are not even declared, hence you will get unexpected results. This is what the concept is explained here in this particular slide. Okay, the compiler will not show the error, but it will give unexpected output, so you will get incorrect values. They will give usually garbage values. Now let's see the types of arrays. There are the three different types of arrays. The first type is one dimensional array. It is a default array type, and the other one is two dimensional arrays, where you will have two dimensions. So in the case of one dimensional, you will have only one dimension, that is either row or column only, and usually we will have only rows in the one dimensional arrays, and in two dimensional arrays we will have both rows and columns, whereas in the case of multi dimensional you will have many number of dimensions, rows, columns, height, width, etc. Depending on your requirement, you can use one dimensional, two dimensional, or multi dimensional arrays. Now let's see what is one dimensional array. A list of items can be given one variable name using only one subscript, and such a variable is called a single subscripted variable or a one dimensional array. So what he is saying is a list of items. So as well, array is nothing but a collection of items or group of items or list of items, and these list of items can be given one variable name using only one subscript. So they can be given one collectively one name using only one subscript, and such a variable is called a single subscripted variable or a one dimensional array. The syntax for an array declaration is type variable name of size. So the syntax for this array declaration is type variable name of size. Examples: float height of 50, int group t of 10, and char name of 10. So in this case we have declared three arrays corresponding to height, group, and name. The first one is a floating point values array, where you are storing the 50 heights corresponding to some object. And in the second case we have array corresponding to group of values. In this case we have 10 values, and it is an integer array. The name of the array is group, and the size of the array is 10 values. And you have third array. The array name is rave, and you are having the characters stored in it, and how many characters you have stored is 10. So the size of the array is 10 values. So we have the in the one dimensional arrays, the syntax you have to remember it. We can see the type declared for that particular array. After that we have to give some space, followed by the name of the array, that is nothing but variable name. And also after that we have to give square brackets. Inside these square brackets we have to mention the size of the array that is required to be corresponding to your requirement. And after that you have to give of course a semicolon that will indicate the end of your array declaration. The type specifies the type of the element that will be contained in the array, such as int, float, or char, and the size indicates the maximum number of elements that can be stored inside the array. Now as we declare an array int number of 5, then the computer reserves 5 storage locations as the size of the array is 5 as shown below. Okay, so here if we declared one array, the array name is number, and it is storing 5 integer values, and these 5 integer values are going to be stored contiguously in the memory of your computer. Okay, and how they are going to do is it will not store the values inside that particular array just after you declare the array, but once you allocate the values, then it will store those values inside those particular storage locations. And you can say that the After just declaring the array, the size corresponding to that particular array locations will be reserved inside the memory. Depending on the particular data type, the size of that particular memory required for that particular array type will be reserved. You can say the reserved space where you are having the value stored, number of 0, number of 1, followed by number of 2, followed by number of 3, and after that you have of course number of 4. So and also you can observe the array is starting from 0 and ending with size minus 1. So the arrays they will start from number of 0 and they will end at a number of 4, and all these 5 values are going to be stored contiguously. Suppose if you are going to store some values inside this particular array by declaring by initialization, like int number of 5 equal to 35, 20, 40, 57, 19 inside these flower brackets, then the value that is going to be stored at number of 0 is 35, and at number 1 you will have 20, and number 2 you will see 40, and number 3 you can see the value that is stored is 57, and number 4 will have 19 values. As already told, you can retrieve the values correctly by accessing number of 0 to number of 4 only, and it will be correct. And you can also access the elements outside these 0 and 4, that is before 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 also you can access, and after 4 also, like 5, 6, 7, 8, any location, any subscript value can be accessed, but the value that is stored inside these number of 5 values only. But if you try to access the other values, they will be thrown incorrectly, and you can expect unexpected results. So the compiler, even though you are accessing the values outside the number array, it will not give any error, as the syntax is correct. The compiler will not check the runtime execution problems, but it will only check the compilation problems only. That is, it will check for the syntax, whether the syntax is as per the expected C programming language or not. Initialization of one-dimensional array. After an array is declared, its elements must be initialized. In C programming, an array can be initialized at either of the following stages. So, hence, once an array is declared, its element must be initialized. Then only, as already told, then only the particular array will be having the value stored inside it. Just after declaration, you will not have the values, but once you declare and you initialize the values, then only you can expect the values in the respective places. And in C programming, an array can be initialized at either of the following stages. In the C programming, you can do the initialization of a one-dimensional array at two levels. That is at compilation time, and that is nothing but at compile time and at runtime. During the execution of your C programming, also you can do the initialization of one-dimensional arrays, and the values will be appropriately stored. And at the compilation time, the values will be static, and at runtime the values are stored dynamically. Compile time initialization. The general form of initialization of array is type array name of size equal to list of values. This is the example syntax in which way in the way where you can store the um, array values at the compilation time. You can see the syntax where you can see the type followed by space followed by array name, and inside the subscript square brackets you can see the size of the particular array, and after that these values are list of values that are going to be assigned to this particular array are also being declared in this particular syntax. So list of values will be according to your size of the array. The values in the list are separated by commas. For example, int number of 3 equal to 0 comma 5 comma 4. Here you have declared the number array at the compilation time. So at the compilation time, just after checking the syntax of this particular array, it will also initialize the array locations with the values 0, 5, 4. So at the subscript number of as the subscript 0, you can expect value stored 0, and at the subscript number of 1 you can expect 5 stored, and at subscript 2 you can expect 4 stored. It is done at the compilation time without any dynamical uses syntax or dynamic rules, or any variables. You just give, you have declared the array and initialize the array with the values. And this example will declare the variable number as an array of size 3 and will assign the values to each element. If the number of values in the list is less than the number of elements, then only that many elements will be initialized. What it means is, although you have mentioned the size of the array number as 3, you can store only one value, or you can store only two values, and you can store three values also. If you declare and store only one value, the other locations will be stored with garbage values, or by default, since it is a local declaration or automatic declaration, it can store values 0. By default it will be initialized with 0 values at the non-initialized positions of that particular array. The remaining elements will be set to 0 automatically. Remember, if we have more initializers than the declared size, the compiler will produce an error. Suppose what it means is, suppose if you are having an array whose size is more than um, whose size is less than what you have initialized. Suppose if you have initialized the array as four values, but the array size is three only, then the compiler will produce the error, that is the size of the array is exceeding the bounds of this array. So array index out of bounds error will be thrown by the compiler. So by just observing that error, you can correct the size of the array, or you can simply reinitialize the array with expected number of values as per the size of the array in the subscript of the particular array declaration. Now let's see what is runtime initialization. Runtime initialization. An array can also be explicitly initialized at runtime. So as already told, without any explicit nature, just after declaration, you can initialize the array with some values according to the array size. That is static initialization or compile time initialization. But you can also do the initialization of the array setup runtime. So arrays can be initialized explicitly at runtime. For example, consider the following segment of a C program. Here you can see that for array I equal to 0, for I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, it is a for loop where you are going to have 10 iterations of this for loop, and inside the for loop you are going to uh, get the value from the keyboard or from the user, and you are simply getting the value from the keyboard, and you are storing these values at the corresponding index position inside the array. If in this case we are having the array that is x, and depending on that, you can expect the array also um, to have the values that are, those values are going to be stored from 0 to 9 subscripts. Although the array size is 10, it's by default the array will be having the value stored from 0th index onwards, and up to 9th index it will store the value. So from the keyboard you will expect for the first subscript 0, you will expect a input from this keyboard, and its value is going to be stored at x of 0 at the address pointed out by ampersand of xi, and like that your loop iteration will continue from I equal to 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 9, and after finally ampersand x of 9 will be having the last value of the your particular array, and after that it will exceed the value of I by 10. So the condition will fail, and hence you can come out from the for loop. Hence in this case, by dynamic or at the execution time or runtime, your values are by default initialized for all the array elements from 0 to 9 subscripts. In the runtime, initialization of the arrays looping statements are almost compulsory. So in the runtime, initialization of the arrays in looping statements are almost compulsory. So at the runtime, if you want to initialize your arrays, you must and should use the looping statements. Otherwise, you cannot do runtime initializations. So if you want to avoid using the runtime initialization, then you can go with the compile time initialization, and in this case, you can exclude the for loops concept or looping concept. That is, you can avoid the usage of for, while, and do while loops. So you can use for loops, while loops, and do while the loop statements if you want to go with runtime initializations of arrays. Looping statements are used to initialize the values of the arrays one by one using assignment operator or through the keyboard by the user. So you can initialize just like x of I equal to I. In that case, all the values of array x will be stored with for the values of I. That is, value I is initially 0. So x of 0 will be 0. X of 1 in the next iteration will become stored with one value, assigned with value 1. So x of 1 will become 1, x of 2 will become x of 2 equal to 2. Like that, it will store x of 9 equal to 9. After that, I value will exceed 10. So x of 10 will not be stored with 10, and the loop will be coming out. So you can enter the values at the runtime initialization either by the keyboard or by the assignment operator. Now let's see what are example program for the one dimensional array. So it is a one-dimensional array program where you are having hash include stdio.h. It is a preprocessor directive. Before this, you can write some comment statement so that you can write what is the program purpose, and who has written this program, and when it was written, and why it has written, and also you can explain some of the logic, some logic explaining the program. So after this common comment statements, you have to write the preprocessor directive. In this case, we are since using the these input standard input output functions like printf and scanf, we have included stdio.h in our program, and inside the main program, we are writing one integer array declaration statement, and the syntax for it is int space array of 5. So we are having the array whose size is 5, and it is a integer type. And sorry to say, but before writing this main function, we have to write the function return type for the main. The return type for this function main is void. Since it is not going to return any values, we have to write a void. Some of the compilers, they will support without writing this return type for the functions, but some of the compilers, they must and should expect, they will expect the return type for the main function. So we have to write either the return type some data type or the void data type. If your main function is not going to return any, or it is not expected to return any values, you have to write void. And if you look at the main function inner details, you are having the integer array declaration. In this case, we are having the array name as array, and it is having the size 5, and its type is integer. So it will store integer values, 5 integer values. And the next statement after this declaration is printf enter 5 numbers to store them in an array. So you are going to write you are writing one printf statement, and it is a expecting to enter 5 values for this particular array as corresponding to the array size. So if you look at the for loop, using the for loop, we have implemented the runtime array initialization concept. For I equal to 0 and size of the array is 5, so we have to write I less than 5, and the we have to use increment statement. And since I value is initialized from 0, we have to increment I values by 1 so that you can expect the next subscript of the particular array, and you can store at that particular subscript the array elements. And inside the for loop, we have written the scanf statement, scanf function, where using the scanf we are storing the integer values in the array at the subscript I. So for the first iteration, the subscript I is 0, hence scanf percentile d comma ampersand array of 0. So at array 0 memory location, you will store integer value that was entered by the user, and at array 1 again in the next iteration I value will become 1, so 1 less than 5, and hence it will move into the for loop, and you will expect one more integer, it will expect one more integer to be entered by the user from the keyboard, and it will store the second value at array of 1. Like that it will store up to array of 4 subscripts, and it will store all the 5 values in this particular array. And after this for loop we have printf that prints the elements of the array. Elements in the array are for I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. And again using the for loop concept, we are accessing the array elements of this particular one dimensional array, where the name of the array is now array, and the statement corresponding to result of the output statement is printf element stored at a percentile d. So that is percentile d is nothing but the position, so the corresponding percentile d corresponds to I value, I variable, and you can have equal to percentile d. Here the second percentile d is corresponding to array of I. So you can expect the first iteration of this for loop the I value is 0, and hence it will print element stored at a of 0 is that is whatever value you have entered, so that will be printed. Like that again I value will be incremented, and I will become 1. Now I is 1 and 1 less than 5, again it is true, and element stored at a of 1 is percentile d, whatever value that you have entered for the second iteration in the first for loop of your main program, that value again will be printed. Like that it will print all the five values, but it will print a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, a of 4, but not a of 5, since I value that if it becomes 5, it will exceed the array bound, so it will terminate after this. And using the getch function you can expect the values that were entered by the user also displayed on the output, along with the output on the monitor. So whatever values that you have entered while being using the while being asked to enter, those all five values will be entered with the for loop, and those values will be visible if you use getch, otherwise they won't be visible along with the output. So the purpose of getch is it will allow you to display the values that were entered while asked to enter by using the scanf function, and along with that you can display the output that was printed using the second for loop statements. So you can expect the output in this format. If at all if you use getch, then only you can see enter five elements in the array line. Otherwise you cannot see this line. So if you use this, you can see enter five elements in the array, and whatever elements that you have entered, all these five elements like enter 23, 45, 32, 25, 45. These are the values that were entered by the user, and they were displayed along with the output. The output is displayed like this: element in the array are element stored at a of 0 is 23, and element stored at a of 0 is 45, element stored at a of 0 is 32, element stored at a of 0 is 25, element stored at a of 0 is 45. Sorry, there is an error that I have to correct in the output of this particular thing. That's why I just want to modify the screen. So here it is 0, then it is 1, then it is 2, then it is 3, then it is 4. So this is what I have to correct. So that's why I just changed this. So just after this correction, you can see the values. Element stored at a of 0 is 23, and element stored at um, a of 1 is 45, and element stored at a of 2 is 32. Element stored at a of 3 is 25. Element stored at a of 4 is 45. Corresponding to the elements that you have entered, these are the values that you can see. So this is the output of the one-dimensional array by entering the values at the runtime. That is, using the runtime initialization, the program was implemented. Now we can see the two-dimensional initialization, that is about two-dimensional arrays. The two-dimensional array, the simplest form of multi-dimensional array is the two-dimensional array. A two-dimensional array is in essence a list of one-dimensional arrays. To declare a two-dimensional integer array of size x of y, you would write something as follows. So if you want to declare a two-dimensional array, you should use the same syntax, but in place of the array declaration, after the array name you have to give two subscripts inside the square brackets. So the syntax is type space array name. After that you have to give two square subscripts. Inside these square brackets you have to mention the row and column sizes also. Where type can be any valid C data type, and array name will be a valid C identifier. So here the type is any valid type that you can expect. It can be a pointer, it can be a float, it can be an integer, it can be a character, or it can be a struct, or it can be a union, or it can be even a derived data type. So it can be a array type also. So and the name of the array is any name of the array that you can use according to your requirement, and the array name should follow the rules that are corresponding to the identifiers. So here it is a valid C identifier. It is a C valid C identifier. A two-dimensional array can be considered a table as a table which will have x number 0 rows and y number 0 columns. So you can see x number of rows are there and y number of columns are there for the two-dimensional array. A two-dimensional array A which contains 3 rows and 4 columns can be shown as follows. So you can see the corresponding example where the array is A and it is having 3 rows and 4 columns. So rows are row 0, row 1 and row 2. Inside this row 0 you can have 4 columns. That is what is the purpose of the second subscript. So second subscript will tell you inside the first subscript how many second subscript values will be there. So how many values will be there in the first subscript by the example. You can see inside the row 0 you have 4 values. Inside row 1 you are having 4 values. Row 2 also you are having 4 values. So all these 3 rows are having together 4 into 3 we have 12 values stored. So the first row and first column is having the value stored at row 0 and column 0. So a of 0 0 is stored, and row 0 and column 1 will have row 0 and column 1 will have the second value stored in it, and row 0 and column 2 will have third value of the correct corresponding array, and row of 0 and column 3 will have the fourth value of the particular array. So row 0 can have a of 0 0, a of 0 1, a of 0 2 and a of 0 3. As the name of the array is A and it is at row 0 and column 0, you can have the value a of 0 0, and you can have the value a of 0 1 at row 0 and column 1. By just looking at the subscript you can say that in which row it is there and in which column it is there. Suppose if you take a of 0 2, it is present in the um, sorry, again there is a mistake in this. I need to correct it. 1011 12 and 13. This should be 13, and here it should be um, 2021 22, then finally 23. So this is correct. So you can see the value stored at f00 is first value, f01 is second value, f02 is third, f03 is fourth, like that. All the values at the correct row. So you can see the notice. See this particular subscript for the particular row is same for all the other four elements. In the row 0, you have the subscript 0, first subscript, that is row subscript is 0, and row 1, the first subscript for the second row is, that is row 1 is 1, and third row will have the subscript 2 common to all the four elements in the particular row. And thus every element in the array A is identified by an element name of the form A of ij, where A is the name of the array and I and j are the subscripts that uniquely identify each element in A. Initializing two-dimensional arrays. Multi-dimensional arrays may be initialized by specifying bracketed values for each row. Now let's see how to initialize the two-dimensional array. The initialization of two-dimensional array is similar, but you have to initialize the corresponding rows with the corresponding number of column values. That's how you have to initialize the two-dimensional arrays. Following is an array with three rows and each row has four columns. So you have three rows. In the first subscript, you are having a of 3 corresponding to three rows, and in each row we will have four values. So you will have in each row we will have four values. So first row will have 0, 1, 2, 3, and the second row will have 4, 5, 6, 7. So four values are there, and in the third row we will have four values that are those are 8, 9, 10, 11. So the together we have 12 values, and these are initialized for the two-dimensional array int a of 3 comma 3 4. So a of 3 4 is now initialized with the first row as 0 1 2 3, and second row as 5 4 5 6 7, and third row with 8 9 10 11. So first row will have four values, those are 1 2 3. Second row will have 4 5 6 7. Third row will have 8 9 10 11. So if you want to know what is the value at a of 2 3, then you have to move to the subscript, that is second subscript. So that is 8 9 10 11th row, and if you want to read third value, that is f 2 3 means and it is third row and fourth column. So the last value will be now accessed. F 2 3 will corresponding to the 11th value, that is 11 value 11. The nested braces which indicate the intended row are optional. The following initialization is equivalent to the previous example. So just by even by ignoring these subscripts, the flower brackets, so you can simply write all the values is just by separating the commas 0 1 2 3 comma 4 5 6 7 comma 8 9 10 11, like that. 0 1 2 3 all separated by commas, like that up to 11 also you can simply write, and you can expect the same initialization as like the previous one that we have seen. Int of 3 4 equal to, inside the flower brackets you can write first row comma second row comma third row, and in each row we can write comma separated four values. So this is equivalent to just by separating all these 12 values a 3 4 equal to 0 to 11. Accessing two-dimensional array elements, it is also very easy. An element is in a two-dimensional array is accessed by using the subscripts, that is row index and column index for the array. For example, int value equal to of 2 comma 3 means it will allow you to access the third row's fourth element. So the above statement will take the fourth element from the third row of the array. As already explained, it will it will take you to the third row and it will pick you the fourth value in that particular row. Now let's see, there is a example program that how will you store the values in the array in two dimension. Okay, hash include std.h. This is the preprocessor directive statement that will allow you to include the printf and scanf functions that you will use frequently in the C language. And int main, the main function is returning an integer value. That's why it has a return type integer, and you have inside the main you have an integer array declared. The size of the array is 5 by 2. That will have 10 values, and these 10 values will be now arranged in the form of 5 rows, and you can have 2 columns. So in each column you will have 5 elements, and in each row also you can have two elements. So you will have rows like 5 rows, and you will have 2 columns. So the elements will be arranged in 5 by 2 matrix. So the initialization is done with 0 0 in the first row, and in the second row it is stored with 1 comma 2, third row it is stored with 2 comma 4, fourth row stored with 3 comma 6, fifth row it is stored with 4 comma 8. And they used two integer variables I comma j for loop iterations. So for the I is corresponding to the row, and j is corresponding to column. So I is used for accessing the rows of your array, and j is used for accessing the columns elements. So for I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. So I will be repeated 5 times. So that is 5 for the 5 rows it is going to be repeated, and for j equal to 0, j less than 2, j plus plus. That means in each row it will be going to access two values corresponding to 0 and 1. So it should be from 0, and it should not exceed 2. So the second loop inside the first for loop will have the iteration starting from 0, and it will access up to 1 only. And if it exceeds 2, it will not it will come out from this for loop. So it will access 0 comma 1 elements of your the corresponding row. So corresponding to I, it will repeat 2 times for each row. So for the first row, I value will be 0, and inside this 0th row, you will have 1 and 2 elements. So you will have at 0 and 1 position. So the second loop will repeat from 0 to 1. So the values that are going to be printed using this printf is printf a of percentile d equal to percentile d. The first percentile d is corresponding to I, and second percentile d is corresponding to j, and the third percentile d is corresponding to the value that is being located at the corresponding I j subscripts. So first iteration will start from I equal to I will be 0, and I is less than 5, 0 is less than 5, so it is true, and hence it will enter into the for loop. Inside for this outer for loop, you are having one more for loop, that is inner for loop. Inner for loop is repeating 2 times from j equal to 0 to 2. So it will repeat from 0 to 1 only, but not 2. So since j is 0, printf percentile d equal percentile d I comma j. The first time I is 0 and j is 0, so it will print the value at a of 0 0, and now j will be incremented. J will become 1. So 1 less than 2. So again it is true. The condition for loop condition is true, and hence it will enter into the for loop, and it will print a of percentile d equal to percentile d, that is corresponding to I value 0 and j value 1. So it will print a of 0 0 and a of 1. After that it will go back from this inner for loop to the outer for loop, and I value will be incremented. So I value will now become 1, and 1 is less than 5, hence again it becomes true, and it will enter into the inner for loop. and the j value is now 0 only, and I will be 1. So it will print now a of 1 0 and a of 1 1. Like that, it will print 2 of 0, 2 of 1, a of 2 of a of 3 of 0, 3 of 1, and also it will print a of 4 of 1, 4 of 0, and 4 of 1. Like this, it will print all a of 0 0 1, a of 0 0 1, a of 0, sorry, it will print a of 0 0, a of 0 1, and also it will print a of 1 0, a of 1 1, a of 2 0, a of 2 1, a of 3 0, a of 3 1, a of 4 0, a of 4 1, a of like this, it will print all the 10 values. After that, it will come out from this main function, and it will return 0. Since you have written the expected value that is going to be returned from the main function has integer value, you have to write a return 0. So you can see the output a of 0 0 is 1, a of 0 1 is 0, a of 1 0 is 1, 1 1 is 2, 2 0 is 2, 2 of 1 is 4, 3 0 is 3, 3 of 1 is 6, so a of 4 0 is 4, a of 4 1 is 8. All the values that are declared at the compilation time are now printed in the output. Multidimensional array. C programming language supports multidimensional arrays. Multidimensional arrays have more than one subscript variables. These are similar to the two-dimensional arrays, but you can have more than two. So two-dimensional array is also a example for multidimensional array. Multidimensional array is also called a matrix. Multidimensional arrays are array of arrays. So multidimensional arrays are nothing but arrays of arrays. So one array will have again one more array. So two-dimensional array, you can say the two-dimensional array is a array of one-dimensional array. The declaration is similar to the declaration of multidimensional array. Syntax is data type, array name, d1, d2, d3, d4, d5, like that, and so on dn. So as many dimensions that you want, up to n dimensions you can give. If you have going to have 5 dimensions, then you can say a data type space array name d1, d2, d up to d5 you have to declare. So an example, the maximum number of elements that can be stored in a multidimensional array name is size 1 into size 2 into size 3 into size n. Just like a one dimensional array, if you are going to have 5 elements, 1 into 5, you can have one dimensional array 1 into 5 elements. Two dimensional, if you are having two a of 2 3, then in this case you can have 6 2 into 3, that is 6. Like that, for multi-dimensional you can have dimension 1 into dimension 2 into dimension n. So that is given as size 1 into size 2 into size n. For example, if you are going to have a cube array, you can have char cube of 50 60 30. In this case, you can have the cube size as 50 by 60 by 30. And we have an example multi-dimensional array program using the 2 dimensions. It is implemented as a matrix into RCA. In the main function, we are having a row, columns, and one matrix that is array A of 50 by 50 and B matrix by 50 by 50, and another matrix sum of 50 by 50. So this program is going to compute the sum of the arrays elements that are stored in the form of matrices, and I comma j are being used for accessing the indexes I and j for the rows and columns correspondingly. Printf slash t slash n multi-dimensional array, so it will print the multi-dimensional array as a heading, and after that you are going to enter the row matrix. First row you are going to enter that is nothing but the size of the row, and printf slash n enter the column matrix. Size of the column also you have to enter corresponding to row and columns. You have to give the values, so that the first value that is being scanned is corresponding to the row size, and the second value that is being scanned is corresponding to the column size. And after that, elements of the matrix are being asked to enter using for I equal to 0 I less than r and I plus plus, and for j equal to 0 j less than c plus plus j. And after that you are going to get the values being scanned into the matrices A, and corresponding to B also you have being scanned the values into the matrix B, and after that you are performing the addition. For I equal to 0 I less than r I plus plus, for j equal to 0 j less than 0 j less than c j plus plus, sum of I j equal to a of I j plus b of I j. So at the corresponding places of your matrix A and B, you are getting the values at the respective locations pointed by ij, and these ij and b, a of ij and b of ij's are being added up and assigned to sum of ij. So now these values are being repeatedly added up and stored at the corresponding places of some matrix that will have at the I comma jth indexes. And now we are going to use the same concept that is used for printing the matrix elements in the form of matrix. So matrix will have rows and columns arrangements. For that purpose, we have to use this logic. For I equal to 0, I less than r I plus plus. For printf slash n. For j equal to 0, j less than c j plus plus. Printf slash td percentile d sum of I comma j. Printf slash n percentile t slash t. And this is the concept that is used for printing the array elements in the form of rows and columns. And finally this will print the output in this format. You can see the output multidimensional array. Enter the row matrix 2, enter the column matrix 2, enter elements of a matrix. The elements of a matrix are being entered, elements of b matrix are being entered, and the addition of matrix you can using the arithmetic concept also you can verify, re-verify whether the output is as expected or not. In this concept we have in this session we have seen what are arrays and how to declare the arrays, and also we have seen what are the one dimensional arrays and how to declare and access the one dimensional array elements. Two dimensional arrays also we have seen one example program for adding the multi-dimensional arrays also we have seen. Thank you. This completes for today's session.